Here's the long, clean story. My husband had a wish. And I said yes. True infidelity story, safe version. When I think back on the past year of my life, it feels like a lifetime of emotions compressed into a handful of seasons. My name is Sarah, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio with my husband, Michael. We've been married for 7 years, and like any couple, we've seen our share of ups and downs. But what happened last fall reshaped my view of marriage, trust, and what it means to truly listen to someone you love. It all began one cool September evening when the air hinted at the coming autumn. Michael and I had just finished dinner, and we were clearing the table in silence. I could tell something was on his mind. He had that look he gets when he's holding back, as though words are trying to push their way out but is too cautious to let them. I leaned against the counter and asked him if everything was okay. He smiled, that half smile I know so well, and said he had something he'd been wanting to tell me but wasn't sure how. My heart raced a little, as it often does when you sense that what's about to be said could change something important. I sat down, folded my hands, and asked him to tell me. He took a deep breath and explained that he had a wish, something personal he had been carrying with him for a long time. He emphasized that it wasn't about dissatisfaction with me, but rather about something he had never expressed fully in his life. He wanted us to take a trip together, just the two of us, away from everything, no work, no responsibilities, no distractions, so that we could rediscover who we were outside of routine and obligations. At first, I felt almost silly for building it up in my head. A trip. That was his big wish. But as he continued, I realized it was more than that. He wasn't just asking for a vacation. He was asking for a chance to rebuild intimacy, to open doors that had been shut by years of stress, bills, and the endless cycle of work and chores. He wanted us to breathe again, to remind ourselves why we had chosen each other in the first place. I said yes immediately, and though I didn't know it at the time, saying yes would lead me down a path of reflection, challenges, and a test of the very foundation of our marriage. We planned a week away in the Smoky Mountains. I still remember the drive there, rolling hills, leaves changing color, and the way Michael's hand rested gently on mine as though he was afraid I might slip away. We talked about everything on that drive, from childhood memories to unfulfilled dreams, and for the first time in years, it felt like we were teenagers again, staying up late to share secrets. When we arrived at the little cabin we had rented, I felt a wave of peace wash over me. It was quiet, secluded, and surrounded by nature. The first few days were filled with laughter, hikes, cooking together, and late-night conversations by the fire. But as the days passed, I noticed something shifting in Michael. He seemed more emotional, more vulnerable than I had ever seen him. On the 4th night, he finally confessed that there was more to his wish than just a trip. He admitted that over the years, he had sometimes felt invisible, not because of me, but because of the grind of life. He said he had moments when he wondered if we had lost ourselves to routine, and he wished for a chance to prove that love could still be adventurous, spontaneous, and strong. He wanted me to let him in completely, to break down the invisible walls we had both unknowingly built. Hearing him speak with such raw honesty broke something open in me too. I realized that I had been carrying my own silent doubts, quiet worries about whether our marriage was enough, whether we were simply coexisting rather than truly living together. And so, that night, I made a silent vow to myself to meet his wish not just with words but with action. The rest of the trip was different. We weren't just two people on vacation, we were partners rediscovering the very foundation of our love. We laughed louder, held each other longer, and spoke truths we had never dared to speak before. And in those quiet mountain nights, we didn't just remember our love, we rebuilt it. When we returned home, life didn't magically become perfect. There were still bills to pay, schedules to juggle, and chores to divide. But something fundamental had shifted. We made a commitment to keep saying yes to each other, not blindly, but with intention. Yes to talking even when it was uncomfortable. Yes to making time even when we felt too busy. Yes to cherishing small moments instead of waiting for big ones. Months later, I often find myself looking back at that trip, at the wish that Michael carried quietly for so long, and at the way saying yes changed us. Marriage, I've learned, isn't about avoiding hardship or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing the quiet doubts, the unspoken wishes, and the vulnerable truths together. Michael's wish taught me that sometimes the greatest gifts in marriage are not the grand gestures or the dramatic sacrifices, but the simple, quiet yes that opens the door to understanding and love. And if you ask me today whether I would say yes again, my answer would be simple, 1,000 times, yes.